Hello again. In today's writing video, we're going to explore what to do once you've finished writing. Tip number 1. It's not turn in your work. Please. If you have any respect, not only for your teacher, but for yourself, do not turn in your work as soon as it's done. The first thing that you should do once you finish writing your assignment is go back and check the directions. Now I know you're probably thinking, but wait, Mrs. Cole, shouldn't I read the directions before I begin the assignment? And my response would be, yes, absolutely. You should read the directions first. However, those aren't mutually exclusive. You can read the directions before you begin, and then, when you're done, you should still go back and reread the directions.
Both is good.
In fact, it probably wouldn't hurt to check the directions each time you return to your work, especially on longer assignments. What happens is that we start following our ideas, each one leading to the next, and if we don't keep the objective of the assignment in mind, our train of ideas can lead away from it. And if we submit that, we're probably going to get a bad grade. And bad is not good. So if you have a report or an essay, and you complete it over several days or even weeks, you should review the directions for the assignment each time you return to it to continue working. And once you finish, you should review the directions again to make sure you've included all the requirements before you submit the assignment. So you should review the assignment directions just to make sure that you've actually done everything that's required of you. Then after that, you need to go back and proofread to make sure that you've done everything well. If you can manage to do so, it's a great idea to finish writing your draft a day or two before it's due. This allows you to take a break from the material and return to it after a little bit so that your mind is clearer. When I try to proofread after I've just finished writing, what I want to say and all the changes that I've made and phrases that I've used or haven't used, everything's jumbled up in my head, and all that noise up in there makes it so much more difficult to spot any typos or other errors that I need to fix. In order to proofread effectively, it's important to be able to slow down. What makes spotting mistakes such a challenge is that when we've created something, our intent is still in our head. So then, when we read over what we've created, it's easy to see what we meant to put in the document instead of what's actually in the document. Reading out loud is one way to force ourselves to slow down. Our eyes and brains can work faster than we can speak, which makes it less likely that we'll skim over sections that we should be paying more attention to in order to spot any errors. But if you're in class and you have time to proofread your work, reading out loud can feel awkward. One possibility is to read it to yourself, sort of under your breath. Even just whispering the words does still force you to slow down. However, it can be tempting to just kind of mumble your way through it, which results in the same kind of problem of skimming past the mistakes that you're trying to catch. So one way around this is to find a partner. If somebody's listening to you, it tends to make it less likely that you'll rush through it, as it's kind of rude. But it's even more helpful if your partner reads your work back to you. Doing this completely resolves the issues of seeing what you mean instead of what's actually on the page or in the document. Your partner doesn't know what you meant, so when they come to something that's confusing, they're likely to stumble over it, or at least slow down to try to figure it out. And at that point, you can either make a note of it or just go ahead and change it right then. Another technique to get yourself to slow down and focus is to read your work backwards. I find it's most effective to do this sentence by sentence. When I go backwards using individual words one by one, it's so challenging that my focus is on just reading the words, and I don't notice the mistakes. And if I read a paragraph at a time, I tend to have the same problem as if I just read the whole thing straight through. When I read one sentence at a time, starting at the end, it makes me focus on just that one sentence. I'm not distracted by thinking about the organization of the whole assignment or how it fits together because I'm going in the wrong direction to do that. So it's actually easier to look at the mechanics, grammar, spelling, punctuation, and those kinds of things. One last strategy, which is especially useful if you don't have a partner, is to use proofreading software like the program Grammarly, which is available on the web and as an app. You do need to create an account, but once you do, the program's really easy to use. To check your work, log into Grammarly. Then you can either upload your document, if it's on your computer, or copy the text and paste it into a new Grammarly document. The program might prompt you to set the goals for your writing. This is optional, but if you input that information, it can give you more effective support. You can also install it as an extension, and if you set the permissions to allow it to do so, Grammarly can actually check your work as you're drafting it, whether it's in Google Docs, or an email you're sending, or even text messages or posting to social media. Suggestions for correctness and clarity are available in the free version. Grammarly Premium offers additional support, but you have to pay for it. And in either case, it's important to remember that these are suggestions. This is something you can do fairly easily, but you should use it in addition to checking your work on your own, not instead of checking your work on your own. Ultimately, nobody understands the ideas you're trying to get across with your writing as well as you do. Not a writing partner, and certainly not a computer program. And whether it's an assignment for class, an email, or text message to your boss, or just a post on social media, the truth is that people do judge you based on how well your writing follows the expectations for that situation. Proofreading your work can help you get better grades. But more importantly, it means that your ideas will be more likely to be taken seriously and treated with respect. And so will you. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Good luck with your writing. Bye for now.